Fox 35 has been all over this breaking news this morning. The president saying that he will not debate Joe Biden virtually and he will hold a rally instead. We heard from him in just the last 20 minutes saying that he disagreed with that decision to hold the October 15 debate virtually. Here's what he told Fox and Friends earlier this morning.
No, I'm not going to waste my time on a virtual debate. That's not what debating's all about. You sit behind a computer and do a debate. It's ridiculous. And then they cut you off whenever they want. I have a host who I always thought was a nice guy, but I see he's a never-Trumper. Came out that he's a never-Trumper. We do have some of them, Maria, believe it or not, because they don't like to win. But I'm not doing a virtual debate.
Well, that was Maria Bartiromo. That was actually Fox Business. We broke the news at 7:45 this morning when the Commission on Presidential Debates announced the next presidential debate would be held virtually because of coronavirus concerns. Well, the news right now is overshadowing the first and only vice presidential debate that made waves across the country for its stark contrast from what we saw between the president and Joe Biden in Cleveland.
We want a debate that is lively. But Americans also deserve a discussion that is civil.
And that is pretty much what Americans got last night. The vice presidential nominees were both claiming victory this morning after their first and only debate in Salt Lake City. And of course, the polls are all over the board about who won. And joining us live right now to talk about the news coming out both of the campaigns this morning is our good friend and political analyst, Mark Mills. Great to see you, Mark. How are you?
I'm excellent. Good morning, Amy.
Well, let's talk first about the breaking news this morning. The president coming out and saying, listen, I'm not going to do that debate online or virtually. How do you feel that will sort of make him look as we go into November?
Well, I think it's very unusual for the commission to come out with an edict the way it did. Normally, the way these things work is that the commission meets with the campaigns, they hammer out some kind of agreement, and then they announce it. Apparently, this came out as a take it or leave it edict, and the president is leaving it. It does a couple of things. One is he loses complete control over what he can do, which we saw last week is not a good thing. Secondly, it plays into his narrative also that the system is out to get him, and I'm sure that that's a theme we're going to keep hearing. And simply by doing it this way, it reminds people of the impact of the coronavirus, which is not a great message for the president. I can understand why the Trump campaign said no.
Well, and it's even hard to picture in my mind, Mark, a virtual debate. You got two guys in separate rooms on their computers. You got technical issues. Can they really hear each other? I mean, in my head, I'm just thinking that does not sound good.
No, it doesn't. It would be very difficult to do, but I think the commission it kind of forecasted this may be coming. It put itself in a position where it was criticized last week for not really following up with coronavirus protocols, and I'm sure that's the reason why they came out with this morning.
Do you think we will get to a third debate? Do you think that one will happen?
Boy, I don't know. We may have seen the last debate last night. It's very possible that this would be the end of the debates, which I think is bad for Donald Trump if we're not able to have face-to-face debates. It appears that the only way that Trump can win right now is for Biden to blow it. And quite frankly, last week, the president bailed out Joe Biden because Joe Biden had a difficult time answering the tough questions that he needed to ask because the president kept interrupting him. In my opinion, Joe Biden did not win that debate. Donald Trump lost it. And I think Trump needs another debate to rally his support and to stop the bleeding in his campaign.
Let's talk about last night's debate. It definitely had a different tone than that first presidential debate. What were some of your thoughts?
Well, I think aside from the fly being that landed on Mike Pence's head being the star of the show today, that tells you something about vice presidential debates. Normally, the strategy in a vice presidential debate is don't make news, don't say something stupid, do no harm. And I think that's what both candidates did. Both candidates made the points they needed to make. They talked about the other campaigns and drew distinctions. They often ignored the moderator. In other words, we got back to a good old-fashioned political debate.
Right, sort of ignoring the moderator is sort of what you're supposed to do, I guess. But I want to listen to a couple of the comments that the candidates made about the pandemic, and then I want to get your reaction to it. Let's go ahead and listen.
Our nation has gone through a very challenging time this year. But I want the American people to know that from the very first day, President Donald Trump has put the health of America first.
Whatever the vice president is claiming the administration has done, clearly it hasn't worked. When you're looking at over 210,000 dead bodies in our country.
And then the plagiarism comment came up, basically accusing Joe Biden of pulling right from the president's playbook on how they would deal with the pandemic if they were to get into office in January. It was really fascinating to listen to.
Yeah, I'm not sure that's the right way to answer the question. Look, there is a clear distinction between Donald Trump and Joe Biden. The Trump campaign has not talked about that much, in my opinion. This campaign could come down to who's in favor of locking down the economy again. Mike Pence glossed over that. The president really didn't bring it up. The campaign's not talking about it. And Joe Biden did not answer the question last week when posed. I think the American people have learned how to manage through the coronavirus. And I think a question of a future lockdown is something that would favor the president, not Joe Biden, because Biden has come out and said that he would lock down the economy again. And the fact that Pence really didn't get into that last night, and that the Trump campaign is not really exploiting that issue is baffling to me, quite frankly.
Yeah, it's interesting when you watch a debate how you can glean just as much from what they don't answer as what they do. Mark, it was fascinating to watch. I wish we could talk to you all day because there's definitely more to talk about, but we always appreciate your insight. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you, Amy. Take care.